right, so you want to just go?
Yeah, bro, we here.
All right, say less. So I was having a lot of pain in my back one day. I was like, I don't like taking medicine. So I was like, I'll just kind of deal with the pain for a little bit. So one day goes by, still just kind of thugging it out, right?
Yeah.
So then the next day goes by, like it's still there, it's just nagging at me. Third, fourth day. So I'm like, okay, like something's got to give because it's like disrupting my sleep. It's affecting the way I'm showing up. I can't pick JJ up. Like I'm just irritable, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So on like the fourth day, I was like, man, let me just go ahead and take some Motrin. So took that, a couple hours later, the pain's gone. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I was really just carrying this unnecessary burden for like all of these days.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of like the therapy journey.
Yeah,
like
for
how
sure.
oftentimes like we just be carrying this extra weight because we don't want to talk to somebody or because we feel like we can handle it ourselves, like I was doing with the pain. And it's like you probably can, like eventually I'm sure it would have subsided. But I'm just imagining, like, if I would have took that medicine on day one,
Yeah.
how those next 3 or 4 days would have been, because I'm getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So I want to kind of start, because I think this is a much needed conversation.
Right, for sure.
And I can't think of anybody else who's been such a proponent, advocate, supporter for mental health than you. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna be every chance I get.
yeah. And I think, because we got friends that we talk to, and I think one of the greatest compliments that I've heard somebody say about you is like, man, you can tell he's been in therapy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our origin stories. And I want to get your story first, and then we'll kind of jump into like how I got introduced to therapy.
Yeah, for me, so I had done therapy, couples therapy, with some church people, with some pastors, as well as professionally once before. But neither one of those times did it really like. Not that I didn't. I've always been a person who listens to advice, so I went and listened, but it didn't really like engage me. But then this last time, it was really by a mutual friend, like by accident. We were arguing through a situation, and so I was brought into the conversation with their therapist, and kind of, at that point, I was kind of in a interesting phase myself, so it was a very intriguing conversation. And then I'm like, man, I should probably, I'm gonna call you back like for doing like a session or whatever, try the first session, and just like very much so. Again, I always say it was a black female woman, so and one who is open about her faith. So it was very much, she spoke to the things that I spoke to. I didn't have to do a lot of explaining about, like, she knew a lot of the way my daily life goes because of being black. She just had a typical black upraising as I did, and then, having a church too. So it just very much, I think that's what drew me in first, is that like I was going to be able to talk from the spaces that I'm in particularly, and not have to like decode or recode or worry about that translation. Because that was a big thing. Like I was talking about my personal life, I was talking about work life, but I was talking about church life too. And that just brings a different aspect of like dealing with that. Yeah. And somebody who understands that, because if, I kind of look at church almost now as the employees of church that's a different aspect, because you're going as a member or whatever, but when you work in the church, you just carrying that differently. And as I've gotten older, like I've grown up with it, so I've been an employee in the church since I was a teen. So you don't really know what that means in the beginning, but then when you start to learn what it means, you carry that way sometimes differently too. That's what that therapist particularly spoke to, that like really caught my attention right away and like really got right into the work.
I love how he said, like, I'm going to hit you back.
Yeah.
Like, we got to keep this conversation going. For me, I actually sought out therapy. So this is while I was in grad school, when my dad had just passed.
Okay.
And my sister, I talked to her a lot. She's always been somebody that's kind of guided me. And she was like, hey, have you ever thought about talking to someone to kind of deal with like, all the life events, whether it was like my dad passing, relationship stuff, and things like that. So I was actually kind of lucky, because while I was a student at WIU, they offered free counseling services for all the students. So did not have to pay. I was like, all right, what harm could it do to go?
Yeah.
And I remember I was lucky because the first person that I sat down with she actually ended up being my therapist for probably a good 3 years while I was finishing my grad program, and even while I was working at the institution, I was still going back to her.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think everybody just thinks like when you go in there that first time that you're just gonna have to. It's gonna be a long session. You're just spilling all the beans, telling your entire life story, and that was not the case.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So from going out to seek that, and then for you just kind of being drawn in, how was your first therapy session when you did have the one-on-one?
Man, that first session, I was like, it's over already? I remember just like you say, it starts and you start talking, and like, I think I knew I wasn't going to be like abrasive about it or anything. Like, I was super excited to be there, so I was super open about it. And if I can't do anything else, I can talk. You know, I'm a talker, so I'm like, man, that hour flew by, that first hour. And just kind of excited about the work. You know, not everybody can get excited about the work, but, you know, at that moment, when you find somebody like that intrigue, whatever that unlocked, whatever that like kind of opened up, was like, okay, this might be a chance to actually get some answers. I feel like I have been searching for answers, and I'm always a person who seeks out counsel. So like I had been talking. It wasn't that I hadn't been talking to people, or, you know, hadn't been seeking out help or whatever, but that just, I don't know, it just felt different. It was like, okay, well, I'm gonna give this a chance because I want to figure out what's going on.
And that's the important part, like the desire to figure things out. We're kind of like one of the same, like when we really zoom out and think about it. But I had the same thing, like, man, that first hour just kind of flew by. And for me, I'm like, so when can I have the next session? So I scheduled another one like the next week. Yeah. And then I was going weekly, at least for like a good year and a half before switching to like bi-weekly. But did you have any preconceived notions like before you got into therapy, like that you thought it was going to be like? Because for me, I always picture therapy as like the way that it's portrayed on TV. Like I'm gonna be sitting on the couch with my hands like this, and then this person's gonna be taking notes and just unlocking all of my my inner thoughts and just reading in between the lines. And it wasn't like that at all. It was kind of like the conversations that you have with a friend, except for they're able to kind of like, okay, well, this is what that is.
Yeah.
So I mean, but did you have any preconceived notions going into it?
Yeah, I thought Auntie was gonna have answers, and so I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna be as open as possible. I'm gonna spill what I gotta say, and then she gonna tell me the answer. And that really wasn't our process at all. But also, that's what worked, because sometimes I just don't want to be told. I want to find the answer myself. Like, that's what I learned. That was one of the first things I learned about myself, is that's how I learned. Like, I want to do it myself, and I knew that, but I kind of got more into that, even more recently, kind of figuring out, you know, why that's happened. But I think that's something that, I don't know if she does that with everybody or she just picked up on that with me, but like our conversations would be more or less, we just, like you said, having a conversation and then just like questioning a piece, like, oh, well, what about this? Like, and just leaving like a little, I used to always call them like the silent bombs. Like, she would ask me a question and then I would be done, pushed it off or moved on, and she would too. And so she would just let it go. We would move on to the next thing. And then like 2-3 days later, I would be like, oh, that's what she meant by that. And it would just like unlock it by head. So I was the same as you after that first therapy session, like, how soon can I have therapy? So it was the next week, but that entire week would start happening is I would have therapy session with her, and then I'm either talking to you or DJ or whoever I'm talking to. That's when I was on the road, was the bulk of it. So like I'm having therapy the whole week, and then I start taking notes, started leaving myself, you know, I not wanting to leave stuff out, and just like really preparing each week to go into therapy. And that just really made it, I think that helped my progress, being able to see and like being excited for that and like really setting that tone almost every week, like when we were really in the thick of it.
And just kind of going off of what you were just saying, like, I think, and we haven't even discussed like how long we've been friends, like we really know each other, and we do talk a lot already, you know, and also like with Demetrius and like some of our other friends. And we've all been friends for, we got 25 plus years in now. So we're able to have like those open and candid conversations, because a lot of times you think about when people who need therapy is because they're not talking to anybody.
Right, yeah.
But we are actually talking to each other. But there is something different about having like that therapist, somebody who has that training. And how long have you been in therapy now? Let's put some time on this.
So I want to say somewhere around 2018, and I went consistently up until about 2022, I want to say. Okay. And then was on a break. And then just recently, actually last week, it was so hilarious. Like, I felt like I've been like, man, it's probably time to check in with therapy and this, that, and the third. And I keep in touch with Auntie every once in a while. But I had an event happen, and like, as I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, time to go back to therapy. I remember texting her like, hey, what's your availability? She's like, I'll get you in tomorrow. Absolutely. Because it was like, oh yeah, there's something else to unpack. Like, and the moment I knew, it was like, okay, time to go back for sure. Because I hadn't really been pressing it. I had felt like I was in a good space with my toolkit, but like I was looking, I'm looking through the toolkit like, oh, nothing here is working. Like, so either I got to go back and get some more tools, like, because I know that therapy works. Like, because definitely for me, I always say like, my day-to-day life isn't always great, but like the toolkit work. Like when I'm as soon as I know that I feel myself like being kind of, wayward or off a little bit, or I'm too irritable, or I'm like, okay, let me pull myself together, pull back, see what's going on, see what I need to do, how I move through it. Like, and it's just, that's how I keep myself pretty level. But I was finding in that a few things I was like, okay, these have me off kilter again to the point where I need some new tools.
So I was going consistently, I'll say, for maybe like 5 years.
Okay.
And then when I moved, I think it probably took me probably a good 1.5, 2 years to find a new therapist, or to think like I needed to get back in therapy. So I took that little break, and then I've been having a lot of luck. So like the first ones that like I would lock in with. That's what I
was going to ask you when you said that. Like, I can't imagine trying to strike gold again. Like, I'm not even sure I would approach how I would approach that. Like, let's talk about that. Like, getting like from one therapist and then like finding another therapist.
I think it was a little bit easier because like, once again, just in a different stage of life.
Okay.
When I found my new therapist, and she's been the same one that I've had since probably 2020, 2021.
Okay.
And it's funny because like your therapist is a black lady in the church. I got a white lady. And she's young. She's probably around my age, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit younger. And I like her point of view. Like, and I think she understands me as an individual to the point where she knows when I need to be pushed a little bit and when not to. And then she'll just let me talk. Because most of the time, like in therapy, I'm probably talking. I'm giving her a recap for like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
She'll interject here and there. And then we spend like the last 20 minutes just kind of like dissecting what I just went over.
Okay.
And I do feel very lucky that I haven't had to go on that search, over and over. So, because that's normally not the case.
Yeah, and that's for me again. I was brought to that, and it's just like that worked, and that's what has worked. But I couldn't imagine going on the therapy search. Like,
that would be wild.
If I felt like it wasn't connecting, that would be. I feel like that would be tough.
Because a lot of times, like, when you're giving these intimate details about your life, and that's why, like, like since we moved here in Rockford, I've been having my sessions via Zoom now because I just don't want to start over.
Yeah. To
find somebody that you build that rapport with, someone that understands you and your dynamics and has kind of seen you from like one point to the next, like, that's hard to replicate. It's like they say, like, most men don't want to find a new barber.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like
somebody know. It's very similar. Somebody know your ways.
Yeah.
Man, I would not want to try to establishing that rapport again. I think it would be interesting, like you said, to have a different perspective. So I'm always open to different perspectives. I think that would be interesting. I think that at this point I'm used to what I'm used to.
And that's where I'm at with it too. Like, I have no desire to try to find a new therapist. It takes a while for me to feel comfortable with somebody too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I will say, like, I did kind of go in, like, one, seeking answers, and like one to get help, but still having that guard up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because like you're kind of leery on how much to share. I don't know why I felt that way kind of going into it. And then also, like, I won't say I'm a skeptic, but like when you're telling me something, I got to see if it works
I
first.
I got to test it, yeah.
When you've been kind of consistent in, like, hitting it out the park, so then that builds a little bit more credibility with me for you. Did you have any apprehension of telling people that you're in therapy? Because there's like that stigma as well, as like, especially in the black community,
right? Yeah,
especially with black men, to the point where it's like, what you in therapy for? Like, or especially in the church, like, prayer changes everything.
Like, bro, what I'm gonna tell you is that the stage that I went into therapy, them same people would have been glad I was in therapy, because it's like, no. Just no, that's not enough. What you saying is not enough. And I was at the stage where I'm like, you need to be here too. I'll tell you what are the secret bounds. I remember I was complaining in therapy about how someone else was treating me. And I was just complaining. I'm going down the list of all the things they doing. Auntie was like, are you mad at you or are you mad at them? And I'm like, I've just told you. I'm telling you all the things they're doing. Of course I'm mad at them. And so I go, oh, she's just like, okay. A few days later, somebody else just, and I was like, I'm mad at me. Like, I'm like, oh my God. But it's just like that moment of just like having like that amount of clarity. I'm not going to find that always in other places because it was that simple. Like, you know, in some other aspects, especially in church, sometimes it can be just tied up into a lot of other stuff, and it's just not as simple. And it's not as simple as just having a simple conversation, just one-on-one. And also just being able to take that to somebody who is professionally trained to get that off of them. They professionally trained to respond to you, to be able to hold your space, and just to be able to know you a little better. So it's just one of them things where it's not got to be an either or thing. Like it's both. I'm still going to church. I'm absolutely still going to church. And my personal, walk with God is there. And that's one of the reasons I went, because it's like trying to figure out the whole piece, like the entirety. And honestly, through therapy is where I've leaned into just more spirituality in general. Like I've leaned more into church from therapy because I'm trying to work on what I feel like is whatever are the problems or whatever. So I'm not carrying that same level of shame or guilt or whatever, because I feel like I'm being completely open with somebody, at least, other than my friends.
Our first lady just actually preached a message last week. She kind of based it around that movie Inside Out.
Okay.
Where she was talking about like all the emotions that we're dealing with. And she was like, yeah, it's good to take things to God and pray on it, but also sometimes you need help. Sometimes that could be the answer, seeking somebody that can help you deal with how to manage those emotions, how to help you regulate things. So hopefully that is something that's kind of coming up in the church now. But I'll also say, like, I grappled with a lot of things with religion as well. And I was able to kind of talk about some of that stuff with my therapist. And sometimes, and I don't know what her religious affiliation is, but like, I like to have somebody there that doesn't try to sway me one way or another. Helps me to kind of come to my own conclusions. And when she understands like the way that I think, because that might not always be the easiest thing to explain, it just makes it so much easier, like you said, to kind of take some of those burdens off of you in terms of like, how to navigate this journey of life that there's no roadmap to. But I think I asked like, did you have any apprehension about telling like people?
No, for me, so I had seen, and I've kind of known for us that we always kind of are a little bit different, and sometimes look first on a lot of stuff like that. And it's one of them like, I know therapy is the answer. I knew it before I went, but it's just like now really setting into that is like, no, I'll be an advocate for it. I don't ever care, but like I'm doing something to help myself. Like you're not gonna shame me for that. You're not gonna, you going to therapy? Yes, absolutely. Like if I decide to do it, I'm totally okay with that. And so I was like, y'all see, like I already know what's going on. I know the struggles I'm having. So if this is gonna help, I'm here for it. And if it's not, then I'll just, if I was gonna try therapy and it wasn't I tried it.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was important. Like we've been talking for, I don't know how long we talked about having this talk.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But I know like even for me with my students in class, like especially when I was still teaching at WIU, I would always, first day of class, I'm going through the syllabus, and we have specialists here to help you with therapy or mental health and things like that. Because a lot of times there is a stigma because people are feeling like they're the only one that is out there with things that they're dealing with and afraid to seek help. But if they see somebody else talking about it, then it's like, okay, well, maybe I will try it. And like even with our conversation that we had with Smooth, on the pod, and he was like, yeah, I see the work that y'all are doing. I think that it's good.
Yeah.
It's like, I just got my own personal reasons. And cool. But for people who are just walking around and just so against it because they think that whatever, I feel bad.
Yeah, that's definitely it. It's like, man, like you talk about like those couple days you go without the medicine, is like remembering what that was like when I wasn't. Because even when I was talking to y'all, there's certain stuff I'm not talking to y'all about. I remember like when I first had got hurt at work and I was off work, I spent a lot of days just by myself. Like, because everybody else is off to school, work, or whatever else is going on. I was medicated, so you kind of in a medicated state, so you sleep most of the time, but you ain't sleep all of the time, and it's just like, not being able to express that and turning 30. I turned 30 when so that was one of my first major events. I had an injury happen at work, and it took me off work. I left work at the end of 2017, and then I had 3 surgeries, 2018, 2019, and then 2020, back to back to back, 3 years. And that was like right at turning 30. So like I was still playing ball 3 times a week. Like I was the most active I had ever been. I was in the best shape I had been since high school. And so that happens and it just derailed all of that. So like right at 30, we're talking about back surgery. And I'm talking with the doctor about like, how's music doing? I'm like, music's doing fine. He like, why? I'm like, why? He's like, like we don't know where this is going as far as physically. And like at 30, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that. Like everybody's like, well, you're 30, you're getting older, you should be getting ready to retire from basketball. Like, no, like I didn't have time to go. You go from playing still 3-4 times a week to like now it might be over. Now you don't know how you're gonna feed your family because you gonna have to start a new career. And I hadn't really done what I was supposed to do in the classroom and all the other stuff. So like I had made a career off of labor.
Yeah.
And so that was very much in question. Plus basketball was how I kept myself together. So it was like I was losing 2 very important things to me, and that was tough. And I really didn't know. You don't even know where to start with that. Like it was just a lot changing all at once. And so that was a time where I'm like carrying all of that for as long as I carried it. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. Like get to the work, just get it started to get it off of you. Cause it's like, man, carrying that is heavy.
It really is. And I mean, that's just dealing with the physical stuff that's going on with you. Like there's still relationships around you, kids. There's just a lot that kind of goes into like, our daily lives that I think sometimes people don't understand the weight that they're under until that one little feather gets added on top of it. And now it's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, for sure.
Just being in therapy for myself, like you start to understand some of the past traumas that have either been suppressed or that you didn't even identify as trauma. Like I'm still trying to figure out why I have the tics that I have and why certain things trigger me in a certain way.
As far as like being able to pull away from your timeline, like a lot of times you live inside of your timeline, so it's like you're living it, so you don't have. It's hard to kind of take perspective without someone else to like bounce that idea off of. And we've known each other for so long, and then the way we approach stuff, sometimes they do take that different perspective to kind of see what's going on. And I've definitely found. That's funny. I think a lot of people probably use inside out that in that way. That's how I explain therapy to a lot of people, or the reason why I went to therapy was because I was like, I wasn't at the wheel. And I was clear. I'm like, man, there are a lot of other things influencing me, and I just don't feel like I'm making my own decisions. I'm not at the wheel, but it's me that's not at the wheel. I'm like, that's not someone else's fault. So it's like, okay, how do I get back to the wheel? Like, how do I communicate? Because I feel like I wasn't I feel like I'm a great communicator, but it wasn't. Whatever I was trying to communicate was not coming across. My intention and my execution were worlds away. So I'm like, man, I got to figure out what's going on, and I got to right this ship. I got to get headed in the right direction because I just was unsettled. I just could not. Like you said, you searching for 30-something years. You just like I'm not finding no answers. There's got to be somebody to help illuminate this or kind of see what's going on, call some of this stuff out.
We've kind of been talking about it already, but what would you say is like your biggest takeaway in all of your years from therapy so far?
Probably that it works.
Okay.
Well, it's funny how like last time I went into it, I don't think with like doubt about wanting to do it or like apprehension about wanting to do it, but I did feel like there were some things that I've always dealt with that I would never not deal with. This time going back to therapy, I'm excited. I'm like, man, the world is in trouble because like now I'm going to therapy. Like before I was trying to go to figure out how to, get back to the wheel, how to communicate well, how to get through those things that were kind of like hurdles in my life. And now I'm like on the other side of what I didn't feel like I could come out of. And I'm like, now I'm going to therapy to learn discipline, to learn to like, I'm gonna probably always be doing some level of multitasking, but learning how to do that from a healthy standpoint, like not running myself to burnout. Like, so now, like, I feel like the tools that I'm adding now are like some ones that could really like be life changing again, but like in a whole different direction, like being able to like build another version of myself. So I'm like, that's the way I look at therapy now. Is like, okay, I saw some holes, I'm going to fix them.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the biggest one, is that like, if you just put the process in front of you, like it can be done. You can make some changes, some real changes.
Why do you think this podcast is important? Or what would you say is like the general purpose of it?
I guess for people to kind of see that like ain't nothing to be scared about. Like there's nothing to be apprehensive about. Like I promise it can only help you. Like it's gonna be, I don't want to use the word weird, but like it's a little different being open. I guess that is. It's a little different. I've recently, one of my big like moments that happened with therapy, and it was like one of the moments where, like with a tree, you know, the roots go down first, and then you don't, for a long time, and some trees longer than others, you don't see no progress. But emotionally, I was definitely numb for a number of years, just trying to feel like I was coping and just trying to get through whatever was going on. I knew it was going to be a season like that, so I had just kind of detached from emotions over time. And when that started to come back, I'm like, what is going on? Because like everything that happens, I just feel way more intensely now. And I remember them first few times, like I'm catching myself, like I'm going way off the hinges for something that's like very small, but I also noticed that it would pass. I'm like, oh, okay, your emotions are back. So like now you feel something, take it in, process it, move on. So it's like, again, the toolbox. But like for a long time, I feel like that first part wasn't there. Like I would recognize in a different way that something is going on, and then like start addressing it. But now it's like I've opened up, you know, a little bit, kind of like just allowing myself to feel emotion and not like try to numb that out, and just being back, allowing myself to feel those emotions in life. When I feel like that's a big shout out to therapy, because I was for sure checked out.
And I think that's something that I don't want to generalize, but like us as men deal with a lot. Like we internalize it. Like I would feel the emotions, but then kind of suppress it because it's like it makes you feel very vulnerable sometimes to express these emotions that you are feeling.
For sure.
And when you express that to another person, like you can't decide how they're going to interpret that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, I'll just speak for like myself, like I'd rather just not deal with it. Like I'd rather just internalize it, hopefully it passes, than to sit down and have those uncomfortable conversations. I will say that's something that therapy has taught me, to get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations, because if you don't address it, it's just going to keep repeating itself. So it's like, man, like I can keep having the same things happen over and over, and I can keep suppressing the emotions and avoiding the conversations and deal with things in these very unhealthy manners versus, once again, trying to address it and be prepared for like the fallout. You know, if that happens.
Yeah, doesn't even know what happens. Yeah. And
so
that's definitely that. I think that's the other part too. And that's one of the things I learned from therapy, is that like if something has to be done, you're gonna be okay with the result. Like there's always like, oh, it could go really, really bad. Yes, it could. And sometimes it will. But also you could do nothing and it could go terribly. It's like, man, like you want to have made a choice.
Yeah.
I've learned to want to make some choices and not have them made for me.
Yes.
Because a choice is going to be made. Like you're not going to be able to sit in you know, in the gray zone forever. Like if you don't make a choice, it's going to be made for you.
Exactly. And I think that intentionality is something that you do kind of learn to process a little bit better, you know, in therapy. And like, like, because I remember, like, of course, had some very major decisions to make, you know, over the past couple of years. And my therapist was like, okay, these are the options.
Yep. That's
like,
it.
and a lot of times it's like, okay, well, if I don't think about the options, the negative things, that means that they're going to go away. No, this is on the table.
This is it.
And it's like, if you're not doing things, this is where you are going to end up. And it's like making sure that you're not avoiding the responsibility.
Yeah.
And like you said, just having things happen on your own terms. Like you want to have a hand in the way that your life turns out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to.
And, you know, I think for me, and this is something I learned in therapy, this is something I learned, Yeah, I learned it in therapy and kind of fleshed it out through therapy. Is that like for me, and this is probably happens for a lot of people, or what I think is happening for a lot of people, when your original dream get kind of crushed that first time, you don't believe that you have control no more. So I'm just going with what I got. I'm playing the cards I was dealt. No. Send that hand in, play the cards you got, and then make it to the next hand. Like we playing spades. You try. Sometimes when I got a bad hand, we just try to get up out of here. I'm trying to make my little. Can I sneak me one or two books out of this hand and get to the next one? Because like as long as you make it to another hand, you could be good, like, and you can set yourself up. Like the game is longer than one hand normally.
And I love that analogy because once again, like you got your hand that you're dealing with, but you also got a partner.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what's in their hand. All my bad hand could be alley-oops today.
Bro. So like I remember because man, now we talking spades.
Right, right. Like the rules.
It's been a plethora of games where because Morris was my spades partner, you know, back in the day, where he got a really good hand and my hand's trash, but because of what he has in his hand, everybody else is kind of afraid because they know like he got a good hand. So some of the things that wouldn't walk normally are going to walk because of what my partner. And I think this be a whole different thing about relationships and having like the right partner in life, because they should be able to help you when you're struggling and vice versa. Like, anyways, because say that for another episode,
right?
Another episode.
Definitely a different
bring
episode.
Our significant others in for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that this conversation is important. I think the culture is kind of shifting in a way where therapy is a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so taboo as it once was. And I think it's important, especially for young men, to have other men talking about therapy.
Yeah.
I like that my son comes with me to therapy because I never want him to get older and be going through something and not know what to do or to think that, okay, well, I got to figure this all out on my own. I want him to be able to say, okay, well, I remember dad was going to therapy, so let me try this therapy thing out. Like, even if that's the byproduct of me putting all these years in therapy, then it's time well spent.
Absolutely.
In my book. And like, just being able to kind of share my journey, that's what I think like this conversation is important as well. If it just helps one person to not try to deal with those demons alone, because we all are struggling with something.
Yeah, for sure. And we all need help.
Yeah.
And like you can tackle some stuff. You know, I talk about the changes that I've made in therapy, but there's some things that did not change. And you learn how to also cope, like how to properly cope, because everything don't change right away either, though. We talk about that, like that long growth. Like it's some stuff that you going into therapy and you just having progress steps. Like, no, I didn't. Nope. I made it 1 day without it, or I made 2 days without it. Like, it's definitely a part of the journey and learning. Like you can change some stuff. You can't change some stuff. Sometimes you can change it. Sometimes it take longer, whatever it is. But learning how to deal and manage with that, and then move on, and then still be healthy. Because we are all managing. We all like you said, a lot of stuff we just pushing to the side or trying to push under the carpet. But like being able to accept where you are in life and being okay, like being able to move from a healthy space and being able to bring whatever version, the best version you got of yourself on that day. Because of course we all building, but like being able to bring a very useful version of yourself, like to be able to work from a clear space.
I saw this recently, like somebody had wrote like mental health down on like a whiteboard, and then they crossed out the word mental and just had health. And like we don't think about like how much our mind affects the rest of our body, like how we process with stress. It was a period of time where I think you guys knew about it. Maybe not. I stopped drinking for like a year and a half because I was having like stomach problems.
Okay.
And like I was like, I couldn't tolerate anything. Like I would just wake up every morning just kind of queasy. And this lasted for like a year. I remember going to like the doctor. They did like some type of test. I forgot what it was. It was some type of procedure that they had to put me out for. But like I was just always waking up just feeling nauseous and not knowing that it's stress related. Like, because nothing else is wrong.
Yeah.
It was just completely stress related. And eventually when I was able to kind of figure that out, then it went away. And I'm like sitting there thinking, like, kind of with the analogy I used at the beginning, like I dealt with this for all this time where I didn't have the right tools to make sure that my mind was right and that I was operating from a healthy space. Because if I was, then you can circumvent a lot of stuff. Like you can't really control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it.
Yeah.
And therapy's definitely helped me to be able to react a lot differently. And
Yeah, I always say the difference in, and I'll challenge you on reacting. I always say the difference in reacting and responding.
Yeah.
Like you react, something happens, you do it.
Yeah.
You respond, something happens, it might just be a second. Like you might still swing, but you at least thought about it, like, oh, I shouldn't. Okay, but
yeah.
So it's like that ability. That's definitely one of the places I use therapy the most. That ability to be like, I'm holding that heat. So the fire's coming up. Somebody done said something or done something. I want to react, and I'm just holding it for a bit. Like, nope, I'm just mad right now. Like, let it go, or like at least wait and see if that's worth the response the reaction that I'm trying to give it right now. So I think that ability definitely to put some space in between the occurrence and when I choose the response, for me, that was a big one, is like putting that time between there. And then also not letting stuff sit with me like that, like being able to actually just let it go at some point. And that works sometimes it don't.
Yeah, I'm still growing in that area.
Yeah, I know that's what it was. We're a bunch alike, but I think you hold that one a little higher than I do, as far as like you want to get things settled. And it's one of the things that I admire about you, because I'm like you and similar, where if it's gonna go really bad, I know how I'm gonna respond. So I'm also willing to be avoidant for a lot of things. Like, I'll not do that because it's probably gonna go really bad. So let's just not. But like you said, stuff just need to be addressed sometimes. And then a lot of times, what's more uncomfortable? Not having the conversation or having the conversation? Right now, I'm the person holding the uncomfortability, and it might not be that uncomfortable of a conversation.
I think there's just so many different topics that we can cover around therapy, and whether it's from like the myths, certain tools that have helped us.
For sure.
I'm going to see if my therapist is going to come.
Will come in? For sure. You know,
Auntie will definitely pop up.
Auntie definitely. She already know. I was like, yo, you got to pull up.
So, yeah, I can't wait for that conversation. We have some other people who are mental health advocates in the community, just to get their perspectives. I'd love to talk to other people who are involved in this space to see like how therapy has been working for them and like how they build a toolbox, because I think at the end of the day, we all want to be the best version of ourselves, and that does involve building that toolbox, as you've been alluding to. I think that's the best analogy, like for therapy. You just learn how to handle things the right way.
Yeah.
And the way that you approach certain situations, you're gonna need a different tool. You might need a little bit more patience for this one. You might need to speak up a little bit more in this situation. So knowing when to apply those things. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have these conversations with a lifelong friend. Like, and in many instances, you've been my personal therapist. Like, so I'm grateful that you are in there, because you were able to help
for real.
me.
That's what I tell people all the time. Like, look, the thing I learned from therapy is that, like, man, we all sharing. So, like, we going through it, but then I'm like, hey, yo.
So
to be able to tell
shout
at
out
least
to
one
Auntie
person
indirectly.
For real. Auntie been helping us all.
the trickle down effect from therapy, man.
For sure.
But even just to be able to help your friends, just being able to show up in like as a husband, father,
for sure,
as your best self,
Yeah.
So those things are very important to, I know, the both of us. So I'm excited for the direction that this is going to go. The conversations that I feel like are much needed.
Yeah.
And I'm just hopeful that somebody gleans something from this. If you're watching this and you have certain questions, or you have, how was your first, if you're in therapy, how was your first experience?
Right, absolutely.
Like, let's share those things, because we can continue to kind of break down that stigma associated with it when there's a bigger awareness of it.
Right, yeah. Call a couple of your friends. Guarantee you, probably, if you call 5 of your friends, one of them is in therapy or been in therapy. And check your job. Most full-time jobs have some level of resources to be able to get you at least started with therapy. And they'll do like a certain amount of sessions as a part of insurance. They've been really building that into these spaces. So man,
because it's definitely been a push for the mental health awareness. And like I said, I want to just start calling it health awareness, because right, we don't say leg health,
right? All right,
so
just health.
I appreciate that. So once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. So continue to come on this journey with us as we unpack everything, and we just appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely.